Welcome to the Real Film Nerds Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, back to another amazing, incredible, episode that probably wasn't going to happen, but now it is, of the Real Film Nerds Podcast.
Yeah. I think that's an accurate description. I'm sorry, everybody. My audio is not going to sound as good as it usually does. I'm on the road, doing things for things.
Are you out starring in a porno called Demon Hole?
No. Turns out that is not what I'm doing, but I'm just out doing some things for work, and so I have to. I wasn't able to bring all my audio equipment with me this time.
So you're equipmentless. All right, good to know.
Yeah, I'm equipmentless.
So, everyone, I am your host, as always, Mr. Matt Hinshaw, based currently in Prescott, Arizona. And there is mysterious Mike Talent. I don't know. Where the hell are you, Mike?
I'm somewhere.
You're still on the East Coast, right? You're not like
mid
coast?
Yeah, no, I'm still on the East Coast, but not in intercourse at the moment. So I wasn't able to bring all the equipment with me.
So we're still going to have to worry about you falling asleep throughout this episode.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Good to know.
You definitely might have that happen. But Matt, before that happens, I wanted to ask you, what are you drinking?
Well, Mike, thanks for asking. I am not drinking anything special. I am drinking a staple of Hollywood, a staple of my refrigerator, or not my refrigerator. If my refrigerator's broken, I still would have this beer. That is the Champagne of beers, Miller High Life.
Awesome. That's always a good beer. It's always a good one.
So, Mike, what local IPA did you drive around in your rental car and hunt down and find in somewhere East Coast, United States?
Well, it's somewhat disappointing. I was feeling like getting some local beer, but then all of a sudden I saw this beer and I was like, I really like this one. So I got the Fear Movie Lions. It's the Stone Double IPA, and it's just a fantastic beer. So I'm sorry.
It's okay, Mike. It's okay. I don't think you've drank that one on the pod yet. Not the double IPA. I think you've only drank their other IPA.
Okay. All right. So
we'll let it slide. But, as you see, I'm a poor bastard. I just drink Miller High Life all the time.
Yeah. I'm not saying IPAs are cheap, because they're not.
Oh, I never said that. You pay lots and lots of money to make sure you get your nice bitterness on.
Yes, I like it super bitter.
Well, all right, Mike. This week, we're talking about a tributary that I was highly, highly anticipating from the minute I saw the trailer that was released at one of the film festivals. I don't remember which one.
Was it at Sundance, or was it at the over there in Texas? What's that?
It was one of the big ones. I don't remember. It was either Sundance's or Tribeca, or that it wasn't South by Southwest.
Oh, okay. Did they screen it at South by Southwest? I feel like they did.
They might have, but I don't know. Maybe not. I'm surprised they didn't do it at maybe Monster Fest, which is also in Austin, Texas, but it's not during South by Southwest. It's its own thing. That's the film festival that if I had money, I really would like to go and check out. I think that would be a really neat one to go to, because that one's mainly horror and sci-fi and stuff in those kind of genres. 100%. That's all the movies they bring out.
Wow, man. You had me at horror.
Of course, I know how much you love your whores.
Horror. Not you and your it's never gonna get old for you. That's that's what she said.
Yeah, that's what she said. Never gets old, ever. I don't care. I'm still going to be saying it when I'm lying in my deathbed next week.
Yeah. Are you gonna have that on your gravestone?
No, man. I'm paying someone to take my ashes into space and shoot them out towards where the Star Wars is.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha.
Did I just interrupt and that's what she said joke?
You did, but that's okay.
No. You need to go back and do it again because I want to hear this.
So on your tombstone, is it? I thought it was just gonna say that's what.
Yeah, maybe.
She.
Yeah, like that T-shirt I have, the Thinking Man's.
Yeah.
That's what she said. T-shirt. Yeah. Well, if I have the money to get a tombstone, but no, I'm going with ashes into outer space, and hopefully I will get to float all the way to Alderaan, or the remnants of Alderaan, shall we say?
Oh, nice.
All right, Mike. So let's go ahead. Let's rock this rundown on, and now I will say the entire title right here, right now for everyone, but we are going to shorten it to either Wicked or Extremely Wicked for the rest of the pod. But today, for our tributary, we are talking about Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile.
Yeah, Matt, that's exactly what we're talking about. And this movie is starring Lily Collins, Zac Efron, Angelina Sarafan, Sidney Valmer, James Hetfield, Dylan Baker, Haley Joel Osment, and Jim Parsons. It's directed by Joe Berlinger. Its writers are Elizabeth Kendall and Michael Werwey. It's about a courtroom frenzy ensues and sweeps 1970s America when a young single mother reluctantly tips the attention of a widespread manhunt towards her longtime boyfriend, Ted Bundy.
All right, Mike. Well, we both have talked about this. We both watched the documentary series, even though it's a short series. I think it's 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah, I think it was about 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 4.
The Ted Bundy Tapes. Before watching this, and that's what got both of us stoked. You watched the Ted Bundy Tapes, and you're like, dude, you got to watch this. It's freaking amazing. I cannot believe this. And I was like, all right. So I sat down, and just like you, I got hooked, and I watched one a night until I was done with it. Now,
Nice.
Saying that, going into this movie, I really was, I don't want to say let down, but I felt let down watching this movie.
Now, Matt, why did you feel let down? Because I actually like this movie, but I want to hear why you felt let down.
Well, I enjoyed the last hour. I would say probably the last hour and 20 minutes or so. I don't want to ruin it for those of you who do not know the story. This is a historical film. It is based off true life, things like that. But the second half of the film is basically his trial in Florida. And when it came on to that's when it finally started clicking. And I think it was a good film from then on. The first half was all over the place. It didn't make sense. It jumped around a lot. It just, I didn't like it. I did not like the first half at all. The second half was fantastic. It was almost like it was 2 different directors or writers or something. It was very strange to me.
Matt, do you think some of your opinion was skewed by just watching the Ted Bundy tapes, where you had kind of a more, I don't know, knowledgeable experience? Like, I was trying to watch this knowing that not everyone's going to see the Ted Bundy tapes before it. And it's hard. But to me, I really did like the way that this was portrayed in a different view.
I agree
because
with that. I really like that.
Yeah, this was done from the eyes of Ted Bundy's girlfriend for the most part.
Right. Who is also the writer, the writer of the book that this movie is based on. Her pen name, it is not a real name. Her pen name is Elizabeth Kendall.
Oh, awesome. I didn't know that, but I did like the way that this was portrayed, from a kind of a different angle.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was great. I just didn't like how it jumped around that first half. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then towards the end of it, again, I'm trying not to ruin it, but towards the end of it, specifically the very end, they really kind of start lining it all up. But it's like, it was, I don't know. I expected more, I guess.
Do you think they were trying to cover too much too fast? Because I mean, there's a lot of material. Like, unfortunately, Ted Bundy's career or history is vast.
It is. It's frighteningly vast. Yeah,
and it's hard to get everything. I think in a, this is an hour and 50-minute or so movie in. Even in the Ted Bundy Tapes, which is like 4 episodes of, I think, about an hour.
Yeah, I think most of them were an hour, maybe some were a little over, but it's a hell of a lot more than this movie.
It's a lot of information, and it's real quick.
Yeah, even in the Ted Bundy Tapes, it was really quick.
I don't know. I think they were just trying to fit that in there, but so Matt, I understand what you're saying, but I still really like this movie. I thought Zac Efron was pretty much perfectly cast as Ted Bundy because he was a kind of a handsome, charismatic guy. And there's so much film from the Ted Bundy tapes and stuff. This was the first, unfortunately, this was the first trial where it was open to the public, so everyone got to watch this on TV. This is,
well, not so much open to the public. All trials are open to the public. Every single trial is open to the public. The problem is typically you have to go and sit in the courtroom. This is the first one where it was ever televised, where they allowed cameras in the courtroom nationally.
Yeah, no, I okay. So I said that incorrectly.
It's
Matt,
all good,
you
man.
said it.
I just, from my former life, I had to deal with cameras in the courtroom a lot, especially in Arizona, because as I was, working here and in the Tribune and things like that back in the day, there's been lots of battles of having cameras in the courtroom here in Arizona. And it finally got past where they're allowed in there, but they limit them and you have to get the judges pass and you can't make noise. Anyways, I don't want to go off too much, but I know a lot about this because I've had to deal with it. I've had to sit in courtrooms. It's boring as hell. Anyways, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so this was the first time that they had a big national televised trial, and it was incredible in a couple ways to see him doing everything that was and how charismatic he was. Like, I mean, it really was hard for even me, who didn't know the guy, to be like, that guy's a serial killer.
It's almost like it's like split personalities, but it's not, because he knows what he was doing. He just never, ever, ever, ever admitted it until right before he died.
Right. And then, it was, anyway, I just wanted to say that I did like this movie. Could some of the beginning stuff been done a little bit better? Yeah, I think so. But I did like this movie quite a bit. And would I recommend people seeing it? I would say you should see it, but I mean, it's not the best subject. It's a movie about a serial killer, so it's real. It's 100% real. I mean, some of the story things I think are embellished, but for the most part, a lot of the content is real. We have a lot of evidence.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was some things where they, I don't know if we'll ever get to this movie, but the movie about the hotshots here in Prescott that passed in that big fire, they did a lot of things, took a lot of liberties with that movie that upset a lot of the locals here, myself included. But they did that with this film on a couple of the characters, like Haley Joel Osment's character. He did not exist in her life, period. They did that to try and help show how she used multiple friends, family, other relationships to get over Ted Bundy, the main protagonist. I'm forgetting the name they used in the movie. Lily Collins.
Yeah, her boyfriend.
Yes, but she had multiple relationships throughout that time. She did not have one relationship like that throughout the whole thing, but the director, the writer or whatever was saying that Haley Joel Osment basically is a composite of multiple people that helped her through the time of Ted Bundy and trying to get over him and all that stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it.
So that's one thing that's not true.
Okay.
So anyways, I just want to point that out. But no, I agree. I think this is probably one of the best performances ever by Zac Efron. I think the casting was right on, and he comes off as charming. He comes off as, there's something else behind his eyes kind of thing. And I think Zac Efron does that very well.
Yeah, no, I thought he pulled it off. Oh, it's such a kind of creepy story. Like, he was so good at manipulating people. Ted Bundy, he took advantage of their kindness, and it's awful. But man, the guy I guess he was extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile.
Well, yeah, and I mean, the judge was the one that actually said that line, and I believe that was when he was sentencing him or something like that. But that was him, the judge, actually describing the murders.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I do know from just recently watching the Ted Bundy tapes and watching the movie that John Malkovich's character, which is Judge Edward D. Cowart, said that he would have loved to see Ted Bundy as a lawyer because he thought he would have made a good lawyer, but you chose a different path. And I was just, it was crazy.
And that's true. That's 100% true line that the judge said in real life, not just dramatized in the movie. That was 100% exactly what he said. Like, it's real interesting to see the judge, especially, in the Ted Bundy tapes, where the judge is stating, he doesn't have any animosity against him. I don't know how you don't have animosity against someone that butchered all these women. It's horrible, but he doesn't. He just, and he tells him, yeah, I would have loved to have seen you have been a lawyer. I would have loved to see you in my courtroom, kind of thing. It's pretty crazy on that end as well.
Yeah, no, it is crazy.
Well, Mike, speaking about crazy, how does extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile relate to the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Ooh, good question, man. Yeah, this one was a little bit tricky as well. Zac Efron doesn't star in any of the MCU movies yet. But I did find a relation. We have Jodie Byron, who is a makeup artist on the Avengers.
The original Avengers?
Yeah, the original Avengers.
Nice.
Yeah. This one was a little bit I guess there's not a ton of characters in it, really, and so it's sometimes a little harder to find some of the less big time movies found a relation. So it's all good.
Good. Hang in there, Mike. Hang in there. We're almost done. Wake yourself up. Get a shot of coffee or something. I don't know. Hang in there.
Okay. All right.
You'll be all right.
I'm hanging in.
You'll make it. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll get into some spoilers for those of you who do not know the Ted Bundy story. I don't know how much we will talk about spoilers, but I'll go back and address your question you asked me earlier. I think if you want to see this movie, definitely watch the Ted Bundy tapes either before or after you watch this movie. I definitely think it is a companion piece. I think Netflix did that on purpose, and they both play well off of each other. I feel that I went in knowing a little bit more so I could see the dramatization of the film better. I don't want to point out, things, they screwed this up, whatever. It just gave me more knowledge behind it. One thing I have to say that I will point out, I'm glad they didn't really show any of the murders. They show him like attacking one girl towards the end and, grabbing her. But even the lady that escaped Ted Bundy, they didn't even show that. So I think that was a good thing. So they're not, promoting the violence. They're not saying, this is okay kind of thing. I really didn't want to see that. I wanted to see more about this, but one sector that I did really want to see about, and they probably would have had to make it up a little bit because I seriously doubt they had a whole lot of information on what happened. But there was that time period where he's in Colorado and he goes missing for 3 or 4 days when he escapes. I really would have liked to have seen what all happened during that time period and what he did. They talk about in the Ted Bundy tapes a little bit that he went here and he did this and at this cabin and all this. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more than that. Then you get to see him like trying to escape town and then wham bam, he's back. They caught him again. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more than that. I would have liked to have, maybe seen a little bit more of him, maybe even standing outside like the sorority house and stuff like that. Not actually committing the murders. I really just didn't need to see that. But I would have liked to have seen him in the different places because he literally went from the West Coast to the East Coast almost on a female murdering rampage. It's crazy.
Yeah, after he escaped from custody, there's a point in the movie which I think it might have been some creative license as well, but who knows. Where the police, was it the sheriff? No, who was it? It was the sheriff? No, the warden? Somebody was like, no, it was the prosecutor. It was the head prosecutor. He's like, hey, you might have gotten away in Washington and you might have gotten away in Colorado, but this is Florida. You're gonna deal with this.
I think that was the county sheriff, and I think that might have been a little bit of a creative license, as you say. But that scene where he's reading what he's being charged with, they have video evidence of that actually happening. So I wouldn't put it past them. But again, the only people that would know if that took place would have been the sheriff or Ted Bundy.
Yeah, no, you're right. The when he reads the charges out loud, that was real, but the scene right before that, I don't know if that was real, but that was okay. To me, it was just right in these other states. We're not going to let you do this. We don't know what's going on with these other states.
Dude, you cut out there a little bit. So go ahead and say what you said again.
In that scene where the sheriff is approaching Ted Bundy, he's like, you're not going to get away with this. And he's just highlighting how the other states kind of failed. And I thought that was a good scene because I think it helped establish a lot of what was going to go on and how Florida was going to be different
Right.
So
and that was, I think, one of the things that they also pointed out in the Ted Bundy tapes as well, not to keep referencing it, but in the Ted Bundy tapes, they were pointing out how Florida, they're a lot more like Texas today. I'm not sure if Florida is still like this now. I'm not sure, but they're very aggressive when it comes to death row. The person isn't going to sit on death row for 50 years. They're going to execute that person. Whereas nowadays, the majority of the states, the people just sit on death row forever until they ultimately die of natural causes instead of actually going through the death penalty, where Texas is really known for executing the people on death row. And so I think it's parallels that where, they're trying to point out that, hey, Washington might not, and, Oregon might not, and Colorado might not, but we will execute you if you're convicted, kind of thing. And it just shows you how ruthless the sheriff was as well of that county, that, you're not escaping us. And he never escaped out of Florida. He escaped out of Colorado. And do you remember what the other state was where he escaped prison?
I think he escaped out of Colorado twice.
Out of Colorado twice. Okay. Yeah. And he's like, that's
because I think he did the jailhouse break, which we kind of saw in the movie. But there's another breakout, which I don't think they really explained too much, but they showed a little bit, but he went up through his cell up into the ceiling and then disappeared.
Yeah, the one in Aspen was the one where he jumped out of the second story window and ran off. And then the second one, they go into a lot more detail in the tapes too, but he actually steals a hacksaw blade and cuts a hole in the roof and escapes out the roof. Or ceiling, sorry, not roof.
He does, and then he steals. Apparently it led to an area where the guards kept their stuff, and he steals a guard's car, and it was the perfect way to break out. I'm like, man, that wasn't good.
Yeah, and think about it. If Colorado would have been on their game, all those innocent people in Florida would not have died. Because he would have been well, I don't know. You can't say that. I mean, maybe he wouldn't have been convicted in Colorado. Maybe they wouldn't have had enough evidence. I think they probably did. They sure as hell did in Florida.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seemed like he was just getting, I don't know, crazier and crazier. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly, but there's all these theories about whether he had multiple personalities and bipolar and stuff. And I think they kind of diagnosed him as bipolar. That's what they were talking about in the Ted Bundy tapes. But I don't know if he had multiple personalities, but he was definitely there were things.
Well, I would say he probably didn't, because he knew he was killing women and killing people. And typically when you have multiple personalities, the personalities don't know the other one exists. Typically. And so if one personality is out killing all these women, and then he's a normal person on the other side, the normal person would never know he's a murderer. And so, of course, he would always plead innocent. But because at the end of, right before his execution, he admitted to killing all these women and more, I feel that it was more along the lines of the bipolar. But still, I mean, that man is emotionless, 100%. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, it blows my mind personally.
No, it was crazy.
But
it was definitely crazy.
I don't like to. I like to think about stuff like this sometimes, but I try not to, because you start going down the rabbit hole and it really starts making you think big time. But this is what the movies are supposed to do. They're supposed to make you think about these things. But if Ted Bundy would have been a serial killer today, because think about it, we haven't had a massive serial killer like this in a while. It's at least probably 20 years, maybe more. And that's mostly because of the advancement of technology. And a lot of it is also thanks to Ted Bundy, as horrible as that sounds. Because back then when he was doing all these murders, the states didn't really talk to each other. They had the FBI and that was it. And now if you commit a crime in one state,
even the counties, he took advantage of the counties in Washington.
Right.
They didn't even talk to each other. The counties.
I know. And it's the same state. It's ridiculous. And so I think him doing this definitely changed how police work is done, especially at a level like that, where if something happens in another state, in another county, they're letting everybody and their mom know. But especially thanks to cameras and smartphones and GPS and all that crap now. I mean, you can't, they'll hunt you down in a heartbeat nowadays. So, granted it was part of the times back then, but because of him doing all this, the police have changed dramatically on how they have to deal with murder cases, especially unsolved ones.
Yeah. So he took advantage of his times. They even highlighted that in the Ted Bundy tapes that as he was studying law, he realized that nobody talked to each other. And he was kind of like, well, I can use this to my advantage. Or this is what this is all hypothesis. But this is what they thought he figured out, and maybe he did, maybe didn't. I don't know, but it seemed like he did.
Well, and I wonder if that's one of the reasons why he decided to go back to school and pursue a degree in law. Maybe
just to figure out more about.
Right.
I mean,
how he could keep killing and not get caught.
Yeah, it might be
possibility. Well, all right, Mike. So I think we've talked about Mr. Ted Bundy enough. I recommend you watch this, but I think if you're going to watch this film, definitely don't watch it around kids for sure. I mean, that should go without having to be stated, but some people are dumb. So definitely don't watch it around your kids. I mean, even though there's no murdering or anything, it's still just dark, dark, dark film and it's based on reality. But I definitely recommend watch this and watch the Ted Bundy tapes. I think watching the Ted Bundy tapes and then watching this would be better. But just make sure you watch both of them because they are definitely companion pieces.
Yeah, they are. And I do think that Netflix released these kind of on purpose. The Ted Bundy tapes were actually released, I think, on the 30th year anniversary of him being executed on the day.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm with you, Matt. This is definitely not for children. And even though the movie doesn't have any of the killing stuff, it's so dark. It's actually probably worse that you don't see it. Our imagination's so crazy. It's just implied. And then as it builds up towards the end there, you're like, we both knew what was coming, but it was still interesting to see it portrayed in that way, or at least for me. I really liked how they did it.
Yeah, I liked how they took the perspective of the girlfriend. I mean, she is the one that wrote the novel. And, she, another part that's not true, but I'll talk about it as well. The end part where she goes and sits with him actually in the jail and talks with him didn't happen. It was actually a phone call. But the makers of the film said it's, a phone call isn't as dramatic as seeing the person, actually right in front of you, obviously, especially with a serial killer.
Oh, yeah.
That whole thing where, it's just so dramatic, the ending. It was amazing. And I'm sure it's true to a certain level. But how she pointed out, she was the one that called, the first person that called and said, I think this is the serial killer that your guys are looking for. He looks a lot like my boyfriend kind of thing. And then on top of it, she goes, I wish I would have called earlier because less people would have died. And I'm sure she openly said that to him. I hope she did. And that just, that was just so powerful to end this film. It really is.
Oh, yeah. No, it was, you're like, oh, man.
Yeah, because, I can't even imagine the kind of pain and anguish she's going through for the rest of her life. On top of it, they even allude to it at the end as well, where there's different times, I don't know how true it is, but they show him, acting like he wanted to kill her and all this other stuff. And I guess in real life, he did attempt to kill her a couple different times, but it wasn't anything like trying to cut her up or anything. It was sneaky stuff. He built a fire and blocked the chimney off or something. And when they were sleeping or something. And anyways, but it's just freaky. It's just super freaky, man.
Interesting. All right. Well, with the app, Matt, what are you going to rate this movie?
Well, Mike, I think this is a pretty good movie. I didn't think it was anything special. Again, I think the Ted Bundy tapes personally were better. The acting is what really did it for me, and that second half is what saved it. That first half was just brutal for me. It was just brutal. But I feel that it's just average. I give it a 3 out of 5 reels.
All right, nice. Yeah. I definitely like this more than you. And I'm going to give this 3.5 reels out of 5. I don't think the first half was too bad, but I understand. I understand what you're saying, but I didn't think it was too bad.
It drove me nuts, man. It just did. If they would have shot the first half in at least a little bit more aligned like the second half, but the second half is hard to compare because the second half is 100% the trial in Florida, and there's a clear start and there's a clear end when it comes to that because it's a trial.
Yeah. No, you're right. But they had to get to that point, and they had to show some things and whatever.
Right. And I'm not hating on it. I mean, I'm not saying this is a 2 or a 1. I just, the thing that really sets it apart for me is the acting. Specifically, Zac Efron was fantastic. I mean, the story's good. The perspective that it came from is great, but overall, the movie as a whole is just average for me.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's cool, man. We're not gonna like everything.
All right, so Mike, next week is a big week, and I don't know how you're gonna do it, but you have to see it.
Dude, I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
We have to talk about it, Mike. We have to talk about it.
We have to talk about it. You can't let Jon Wick 3 go without. We have to see it.
I mean, my brother-in-law already has tickets. He bought them last week. He's going to one of the showings on Thursday to see Jon Wick 3 in IMAX. And I won't lie, I'm a little jealous.
I'm sorry that I'm so busy.
It doesn't matter.
We're gonna figure it out.
If you don't
we're gonna
get to
figure it out.
I don't care.
We're gonna get it.
See Jon Wick 3. I don't care.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna have Jon Wick 3 next week.
Yeah, because I am definitely gonna do my darndest to see it either Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday this week. I will do my darndest.
Okay, so that's it. You heard it here. We're doing Jon Wick 3 next week. No fear. We'll get it done.
Definitely.
It's Jon Wick 3. Was it Parabellum?
Parabellum, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to do that. I can't wait to see it, man. I love the Jon Wick series. Man, Keanu Reeves is killing it.
Are you doing a rewatch?
I just watched the first one and the second one recently with Mags, and she's excited to see the third one.
Did she never see him before?
She hadn't seen him before. She didn't know. I just really recently watched them. So
well, good.
I'm excited for it.
This is how much I like Jon Wick, and I wasn't a huge fan when I saw him in the theaters, but they grew on me. I have the first one and the second one on Blu-ray.
Nice, dude. Nice. I have the first one on Blu-ray. I don't have the second one.
I definitely want to sit down and do a rewatch this week of both of them if I can before I go. At least definitely the first one, because I know it's been a while since I saw that. But I mean, when I first saw them in the theaters, I was like, wow, these are just insane. I think it might have just been so much eye candy. There's so much going on and so much action. And then when you get to be at home and see it again, it's just like the respect of the action and the story of the first two is just wow. It's another level.
I love the gun accuracy, because I feel like these movies highlight the realism of gun stuff. Like, he has to reload all the time because that's real life. If you were going to shoot that many bullets and kill that many people, you have to reload constantly.
Do you want your mind to be blown, Mike?
And I love that they show that. Yeah, blow it.
All right. So I came across this a few weeks ago on one of the movie news websites I follow, like /film or one of those, I don't remember, where they got a video of Keanu Reeves training. Now, I don't know if he's training for the most recent film or if it's the second one or the first one, but he's training in shooting the weapons, and he is 100% doing it legit. And he is like a force to be reckoned with in real life, because all the shooting, all the reloading, all the speed, that's all real. That's not fake. Like, he really is doing that shit. And
I heard he competes,
and he has like,
he's awesome.
Yeah, he has like 2-3 guns on him. He has he's not, he's not wearing the John Wick outfit. He's wearing, just jeans and a t-shirt, but he has the whole setup, where he has like the pistols on each hip, and he has, the guns on his back and everything. And he literally is going through the whole thing. And I'm just like sitting there watching it with my jaw dropped, because he's legit, dude. It's crazy.
No, I think because of these movies, worked on practicing doing like competitive shooting, and he's actually competes now. And I think he's really, really good.
No, he is. It's crazy to watch these videos, man. I don't know how much you've done shooting. I do my fair share, not a ton. I have a handful of firearms, but not a ton. And so I like to go out and I like to go plinking and stuff, but to see him do what he does in real life, it's mind blowing. It really is. He pulls out the shotgun, and it's 12 gauge shotgun, man. And he puts rounds through it like they're nothing. And it just pains me just watching it. My shoulder starts aching just watching it.
Nice. Now you're right. All those scenes, it's like they're as real as can be, man. Like, I really think that the John Wick series is super cool, and it's all just because Keanu Reeves helped fund some of his stunt coordinators who had an idea about a movie, which is awesome.
Well, we could sit here and talk about John Wick all day. We probably should stop. We'll save it for next week.
Yes. Yeah. Man, you got me diverged.
I'm sorry, all right. Dude. It's awesome. It's freaking awesome. All right, John Wick is awesome.
Yeah. It is awesome. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for listening this week, and catch us next week for the awesome John Wick 3 Parabellum review. And thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Real Film Nerds. Now, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Real Film Nerds. Now, go out and catch a movie.